Testing. 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 I figured out how to do it. Testing. Okay, so here we go. Streaming out. Now, why is that happening? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. What's with this? Let's see. So, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. 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 That's the problem. That you don't want to use capture device. Testing. Testing 1. Testing. Testing. Testing 1. Testing 1, 2, 3. And then let's see. What do we got here?
From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now! Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras resigns, calling for early elections in which he'll run. We'll hear from U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders on the dangers of austerity at home and abroad.
It is time for creditors to sit down with the governments of Greece and Puerto Rico and work out a debt repayment plan that is fair to both sides. The people of Greece and the children of Puerto Rico deserve nothing less.
Then July was hot. It was the hottest month worldwide since record-keeping began over 130 years ago. We'll speak with a scientist who's exposed how global warming has worsened the California drought. Then to conflict minerals. A federal appeals court rules corporations don't need to state whether they use materials from the war-torn Democratic Republic of Congo. All that and more coming up. Situation
Austerity for the publishers.
Does your report contradict this?
No.
And suggest that within it?
Have so little. Which came in third place in the recent election.
In my view, we should learn from the worst depression, economic downturn in the history of our country. The Greek economy has basically collapsed, and the people of Greece are trapped in a very, very deep depression. I want to begin by expressing my solidarity with the people of Greece, where 5 years of cruel and counterproductive austerity policies demanded by the European Central Bank, the European Commission, and the International Monetary Fund have left the people of Greece facing a full-blown humanitarian crisis. In my view, there is no more obvious example of the failure of austerity policies than what is going on in Greece. For more than 5 years, Greece has cut pensions. Greece has slashed its government workforce. Greece has made deep spending cuts that have eviscerated its social safety net. In other words,
despite what we have been led to believe by many in the media, Greece has not gone on a shopping spree. It has not overfunded its government. Rather, it has imposed massive spending cuts that have caused devastating pain to some of its most vulnerable people. It has done this because its creditors, led by Germany, have insisted that austerity is the only way to dig Greece out of its debt. As a result, today, Greece has the
From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
This is and has always been a wet problem of violence. It's not, there's not much that we can do to stop the violence against us.
Well, if that is
conversation that push
okay,
back.
I understand what you're saying.
Also respectfully.
Yeah, well, respectfully, if that is your position, then I will talk only to white people about how we are going to deal with the very real problems.
Black Lives Matter activists confront Secretary Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail over her record on criminal justice issues. We'll speak with the activists, Denisha Yancey and Julius Jones, about what Clinton did and did not say. Then support is growing among Republican presidential candidates to repeal part of the 14th Amendment that guarantees people born on American soil automatic American citizenship.
You want to get rid of birthright citizenship?
You have to get rid of, yes, you have to. What they're doing, they're having a baby, and all of a sudden nobody knows the baby's here.
That was Donald Trump, but he's not alone. Scott Walker, Chris Christie, Rand Paul, Lindsey Graham all support ending birthright citizenship. We'll speak to Ian Millhiser of the Center for American Progress, who recently wrote the article headlined, "Donald Trump's First Policy Plan is Even More Racist Than You Think It Is." Then Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist David K. Johnston on 21 questions for Donald Trump. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Imprisoned Army whistleblower Chelsea Manning has been spared the punishment of indefinite solitary confinement after more than 100,000 people signed a petition calling on military prison authorities to drop the charges of possession of unauthorized reading material and other minor infractions. Manning had been called before the disciplinary panel at the military prison at Fort Leavenworth for having an expired tube of toothpaste, an issue of Vanity Fair, in which transgender celebrity Caitlyn Jenner describes her new life living openly as a woman, the U.S. Senate report on torture and other, quote, prohibited property. On Tuesday, a panel ruled Manning did have unapproved reading material. Her punishment is 21 days of restricted recreational activities, including no access to a gym, a library, or the outdoors. Manning serving a 35-year sentence for leaking U.S. government cables to WikiLeaks. To see our interview with one of her lawyers, Chase Strangio, go to democracynow.org. The world's leading Islamic scholars have released a sweeping declaration on climate change. It calls on world leaders. Amnesty International has accused
From Massachusetts.
When we got to I think I wanted to
conversation went in.
To remember, and I certainly remember,
to New Hampshire with the intention of confronting Hillary Clinton in the public forum. There was a forum she was hosting on substance abuse. Unfortunately, when we got there, we were told that we couldn't come inside, but Dan Marika actually recognized me and
because
started,
it was crowded.
That's the reason that we were given, was capacity, and so he was tweeting that we weren't able to get in. And
it was a very.
As a reporter from CNN.
Yes. And so someone came out and invited us into an overflow room where we could actually watch the forum. And then one of her staffers came in and said, we could offer you a couple of minutes with her. And we said, absolutely, so that we could ask her the questions that we had.
And did she know you were filming her?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And were you surprised that the conversation, Julius, lasted as long as it did?
Yeah, it was actually kind of shocking. I think she was taking the opportunity to give us enough time and space to satisfy the concerns that were raised by us not being let in. Mm-hmm. It felt as if, it was strategic on the campaign's part, and it was probably pretty smart that they didn't let the story get out that we were shut out of the meeting. But I think the direction that the conversation went in was probably unexpected by her in the campaign. And it was a very candid, open, and honest and frank Hillary Clinton, too.
Well, talk about, Danesha, before we go into the question, the next question that Julius asks, the issues you were raising in this first encounter with her that we just played.
Well, we wanted to hear from her a personal reflection on her participation in promoting policies through the war on drugs that have increased our mass incarceration situation that we're in today. That Hillary Clinton and the Clintons hold a unique space in our country's politics, and so to be at having a forum on substance abuse and to not recognize her own role in not. In the war on drugs that has actually been a war on drug users, we felt like we really need to hold her accountable to that history.
And in what capacity was she responsible? Talk about her history, how you hold her responsible.
Well, she advocated for, as FLOTUS and as senator, for policies that have increased the penalties for minor drug offenses and things like that. Back in '94, there was $17 billion divested from HUD, from public housing, and $19 billion put into prison construction. And so with situations like that we've seen her publicly support, we really wanted to hear from her what has changed in her that she would not continue to promote practices like that.
And how do you respond to folks who say that, well, the Black Lives Matter now has been confronting several Democratic candidates, but the Republican candidates, of which there are many more, have largely been so far unscathed on questions of answering their policy issues in terms of the black community and of police violence and mass incarceration?
Yeah, every presidential candidate should expect to hear from us and expect to be held accountable. It's actually a practice called power mapping, where it's similar to lobbying, where you actually map who's closest to you on the issue and go to those folks first in order to force them to articulate their stance and then hold them accountable to it. So this movement is very strategic, and that's what we've been doing.
We want to turn to the next part of the interaction. Talk about how long you had with her. There were campaign staffers around, is that right?
Yeah, it was a room. It was probably full of 20 people. There were 5 folks with us and 15 with her. And then the 4 or 5 people that you see on camera, there was probably another 6 on either side of the person who was filming. And it was a decent amount of time. It was like 15 minutes. It felt like it lasted forever.
So this is Julius Jones questioning Hillary Clinton.
The truth is that there's an extremely long history of unfortunate government practices that don't work, that particularly affect black people and black families. And until we as a country, and then the person who's in the seat that you seek, actually addresses the anti-blackness current that is America's first drug. We're in a meeting about drugs.